Hello everybody, good evening. This is my follow-up video to the weight sorting video I posted yesterday, and that was a follow-up to some of my YouTube shorts leading up to this. You should probably check out that video if you've never seen it before, because it definitely, this video explains a little bit. And I wanted to clarify a couple of points I made into a little bit further detail in the video yesterday. So when I talked about weight sorting, there's a few things I mentioned. And I want to say that weight sorting, if, for example, the ammunition that your gun chooses, or the only ammunition that you can find, is the type of ammunition that varies widely, like CCI standard velocity. So my Vickers, that I'm shooting in this match, likes this ammunition on par with SK Flatnose. SK Flatnose is very hard to get right now due to all sorts of world circumstances. This stuff is not. So it makes sense from my point of view currently to shoot this, because they're equal on target, I would say. But this has some room for improvement. So if they're equal on target right now, will weight sorting, and what I'm about to show you today, make a difference? So I didn't stress it enough yesterday, but in my belief, not really. Only a little bit. Enough to warrant it. Depends how valuable your time is, rather. Some people are very passionate about weighing, and you'll hear them discuss it all the time. Oh, I always weight sort and I always do. Hey man, if that's what you feel makes a big difference for you, do it. In my experience, no. And I'm going to try and explain a little bit more why I feel like that. Not you, this guy. Okay. So you can probably tell that this ammo has been sorted. It's all the same. This ammo is my ammo box for my match. So all my match ammo has been weight sorted. Now, one of the things I talked about yesterday, but I didn't clarify enough, and I'm going to do a little bit more detail now, and I apologize for not doing it in the other video. When you're weighing one of these guys, it only tells you the overall picture. It tells you the complete weight of this bullet round. It doesn't tell you the weight ratio of each one. So when you're weighing and you're getting the numbers I showed you yesterday, which varied in a grain, okay? And you're like, whoa, look at the flyer there. It's a grain difference between this one and that one. Man, there's a flyer for sure. Well, here's the thing. Each separate component has a weight, but when you're weighing the whole thing isn't involved as you think in it actually leaving the barrel. The projectile is, the powder is, and the primer. That's 3 P's. The case stays in. So what happens if that grain discrepancy that we saw yesterday is in the brass? Makes you think, right? Well, is it? Well, let's find out. I have some fire brass here. Same ammo, same gun, same day. Okay, only a small selection, because the point of this video is, if you wanted to do this, you could weigh a box and it would just show you more of what you're about to see. So this is only a small piece. I encourage you to do the same. All right, same scale as yesterday. First one to drop. 10. That's good, nice even number there. 9.8. Now remember guys, this is just the brass. 10. Kind of hovered there. 10. Ooh, 10. It's a good number here, eh? We're getting seam pattern the same as the rounds. 10.2. Wait a minute. So already we had a 9.8 and a 10.2. Wait a minute here. What about these rounds over here? They had the same discrepancy. So maybe it's all in the brass, right? This is why. Okay, wait a minute here. 10.4, 9.8. Another 9.8. Wait a minute here. So we had a 10.4 and a 9.4. So a 1 grain difference in the brass alone Well, our biggest spread in the ammo was a grain. So was it just in the brass? Makes you think, right? So this is why I should have stressed it more in the video yesterday. If you've weighed ammo and never weighed brass separately when you're weight sorting ammunition, it's something you really need to do, because this is the sort of thing you can't discount when you're weighing ammunition. What's the point if it's all eaten up in the brass? Now, the brass doesn't leave the barrel. The primer, the powder, the projectile leaves. Okay? This stays. Now, sure, you can argue to the ends of the earth on how much burnt powder and residue is left, and that affects weight. Sure. That's a minuscule amount compared to the weight of the brass. Okay? So I won't entertain that too much, because you'd have to scrape it all out, and if my scale actually registered, I'd be surprised, because I can actually see shiny brass in the bottom of the case, for an example. What I mean is there's not that much in there to affect it. And we saw full grain difference just in brass alone. And listen, I'm not making an argument trying to convince you guys not to weigh stuff, because I want you to, or to take away from people who do weigh. Do it if that's what you feel, or if that's the only ammo you can get. Like for me, it's hard to get good ammo locally right now. I have to order everything online. It's a pain because I don't know if it shoots good and what I'm looking for. A million reasons. So if you can find this locally, and you find through your own testing that it improves groups, cool. But really what you should be doing is putting a box all the same. In my case, it's 51 grains. Going to the range, coming back, and then weighing your brass. So if I save all these 100 rounds after I shoot them and then I weigh them, tells a completely different story, and it makes it seem like the exercise was a waste of time, or mostly a waste of time. Very informative. So that's kind of what I'm saying. If we got a grain difference from brass alone, and this is all weight sorted, and then we weigh these and they're all different, you know what I'm saying? I mean the brass, and we weigh the brass, empty brass, and they're all different. That means everything else was different, even though we weight sorted. Feel me? Okay, so enough about that. I think I've explained that good enough for you guys. All I can tell you is make sure you, when you're weighing stuff, exhaust all options. Okay, so you're going to need a couple things for this part. So we're going to be doing some quick and dirty rim thickness. Okay, we're going to be checking rim thickness. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do it. I recommend you get a Hornady tool. I made my own. I can't find it for the life of me because I haven't done this in a long time. I try to shoot better ammo, which I think is the way to go. But I picked this up because this is what we're going to use for the testing. I got it at my little Home Depot. It was like $2, $2.50, something like that. Super inexpensive. I'll hold it up for you guys. I don't know if you have the same brands there. This is from a Home Depot here, but it might be a Canadian thing. Oh, it says Kansas City. So maybe you guys have that. You probably do. Anyway, this is what I used. It's probably like 25 cents for you guys, though. Anyway, it looks like this. Okay. And you can use, like, I have used a 223 case before, widened the mouth, and it fits in. It doesn't really matter. The purpose of this is to do this. Okay. You want a nice, flat, clean surface. And ideally, like, cleaning this up to be flat in a lathe would be ideal. But for this kind of quick and dirty testing, the same as, like, this is my cheap Amazon scale. Like, you can get a fancy scale, but for this, it's gonna show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So I got some random ammo over here. This is the stuff that was not quite sorted from this. So it's all from the same stuff as this. It's just not the same weight. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you basically what we do. Get a nice cheap set of calibers. Mine are just like a cheap digital set, nothing fancy, as long as they zero well. I'll set this imperial for you guys because metric would confuse everybody. Okay, and so we stick our round in there, and I should probably back up. What we're actually measuring is, if this is the actual chamber, and I'm going to assume that most of the guns that you're shooting are going to be match level chambers, so like a CZ MTR or an Ansha 64 with a semi-match chamber at least. If you're going to be dealing with like a Savage Mark II, this is still like relevant, but there's so much slop in that chamber, you're not going to get the same benefits. So it's not really apples to apples, so to speak. Okay, so when you chamber around in your match or semi-match chamber, okay, your driving bands of this bullet, these parts here, and every round is different, gets close or intersects or engraves in the rifling, okay, in the chamber, right there on the leading edge. So when the bullet goes off, there's no jump. because I think it's, very well understood the jump is detrimental to accuracy. And, different rounds do different things, but the thickness of this rim dictates a few things. It dictates how far it goes in and how close to the firing pin or the bolt face it is. Okay? And differences in this thickness can mean a lot. My belief is that the thinner the rim, or the farther away, for example, from your firing pin, the weaker your firing pin impact will be, the lighter your ignition will be, the weaker your explosion will be. Less accuracy, more flyers, depending on this. Because I think that the difference here makes quite a big difference with flyers. If it's closer to the firing pin and you get a solid ignition, it'll burn faster, ignite quicker, more propellant will be burnt before it leaves the barrel. Also, depending on how it engraven the rifling, all sorts of things. It's an interesting thing to look at because unlike weighing, you're only measuring the rim, whereas weighing, you're doing the whole thing, many variables. This is only one variable, rim thickness. So all you're measuring is the distance from here to here. Sorry, going sideways, from here to here. And so the differences in the brass and the rim is going to show up in our measurement. Now, will this make a difference for you? It's hard to say. In my experience, rim thickness makes more of a difference than weighing, and I don't think weighing makes much of a difference. So, is it going to be substantial? In my testing, more so than weighing is just all I'll say, because I encourage you guys to try this too. And really, like what, 20, 30 bucks for one of these, half decent, $2 for this little thing. Sounds like an easy way to measure, right? So let's find out. So I'm going to say like there will be slight differences in how you rotate this, because obviously this isn't a fixed plane like when you purchase, like the one that I made, a set screws and it clamps on and it stays in that position, so it's easy to measure. We're just doing this for demonstration purposes, so you're going to see slight variations here. We're not going to stress about the 0.5s, because just for demonstration purposes I'm going to show you, okay? So you can see we're zeroed out. Okay. You try to make sure you're flat on there, and it's like, so it's flat, right? So we're sitting at 4985. Okay. 4985. See that? 497. And this takes a lot longer than weighing. You can see obviously why. There's a lot of, back and forth motions there. 1495. Actually, it's actually 0.5, right? 495.5. I think you're seeing a difference already, right? And you'll see like a pattern just like in weighing. 97.5. I'm going to put that with this one just for demonstration purposes, okay? I'm not even probably going to write down the 0.5s unless, because like you'll be here all night kind of thing, right? Okay, 9.5. So we had a 9.5 and a 9.7, so there's more in there, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like if we didn't sweat about the 0.5s, let's say. 9.6. So, oh, come on. There we go. And like, it takes a long time, but it's the same as like if you were just watching TV, right? Although there's like you have to watch more, and you have to move your hands a little bit more, than be a little bit more precise than just on the scale and off the scale. Okay. So the goal of this is to eliminate flyers. Now, we're not seeing a huge variation here. These are all pretty good, right? But come on now. If we were like, we had some here, let's say that were 495, and then we're 498.5, right? So is the difference between this one and that one enough to create a flyer? This is the thing, because it's going to be spaced farther away from the firing pin. So we're talking about some pretty, like, obviously small measurements, but this is a very precise thing, right? So, like, that matters, right? Or does it? So the 0.498. So you're definitely, just like weighing, you know, you're seeing differences. So there's a point, you know, I'll turn it just to see if we get it. That's the same. That's the thing, like, so if you get something really wide, it's the same with weighing, you know, you take it a couple of tries, or you shake it, or... See, that's a 94.5. So that's a separate measurement altogether, right? So now we're, as you see, is that a flyer? Are these two flyers? Because this is the majority. This is the thing, right? There's definitely, just like when we were weighing, like the vast majority of my weights were 51 grains. The vast majority. So I had this big pile at the end of 51, and then these couple smaller variables here. Are they going to create a flyer? I don't know. 96.5. So I only got a couple of rounds here, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So then you say to yourself, okay, well, this is the random ammo that you've picked up, right? Like, meaning that this is the stuff that I didn't, these are all varying weights, right? So what happens if you start rim thicknessing the stuff that you've pre-weighed? Okay, like this stuff, that's all the same weight. Okay, so should we have tighter tolerances here? I don't know, let's find out. $9.5. I'm just checking at random. No. So the first two, definitely not. So far, all three have been different. Some, like the first two, were different. 9.6. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, look at that one. Maybe that was me here. Hang on a second. Yeah, look at that one. So, this is what I'm talking about, okay? I'm glad I got this one, because I didn't do this ahead of time, I don't know. This is a substantial difference. With the weight sorted ammo, it's lower than any of these. Okay? So will this weight sorted one make a flyer? I'm going to leave that part up to you guys, because I already know the answer. But I'm going to leave that up to your experience and your kind of investigation. I think this is a worthwhile venture for those of you who have never done it before, because the layout of cost is very low. So the cost layout is low. The experimentation and fun factor is high, because you can take these to the range and try them out. And I've done it. I've tried literally dozens of brands. Weight sorting, rim thickness, weight sorting only, rim thickness. You can do all sorts of things. And so I'm hoping that my demonstration in yesterday's video and today explains the difference between the two and how you can easily do it for very inexpensive. Yes, you need one of these scales. Mine is from Amazon. I don't think I paid more than $20 or $30 for it, if that. Just get one with a weight you can calibrate. Okay? And then it's something you can check each time or often, and you can verify. So obviously this isn't a super space shuttle type level scale, but for this sort of purposes, it's perfect. because you can see. It shows discrepancies, so you can see. Cheap set of digital calipers. Man, I've had these for years. It doesn't matter how super precise they are because, listen, we're not building a space shuttle. We're just checking rim thickness. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. And then again, this little guy, like $2. Okay? And then, you know, the ammo of your choice. And it's fun to see the variances and the variables. And I can't stress enough. If you do this, especially most people weigh, if you weigh and you swear that it eliminates flyers in your testing, sweet. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you because that's a good way to save some money and dial in your ammo. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. In my experience, nope. Rim thickness is another matter. Okay, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. And if you do happen to go down that rabbit hole and you start testing this sort of thing and you go down that and you kind of see what it's all about, let me know. Post up some comments and tell me, hey, listen, I tested some of my CCI standard velocity and it didn't make a difference. I decided to choose SK Flat Nose Basic or SK Standard Plus and I couldn't get any variables at all. Wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here before I ramble on too much, but this is how I would test cheap and dirty to get your toes dipped in the water of sorting and rim thicknessing ammo, and then you can kind of see how the relationship all works. But as always, I want to thank you guys for checking this out and bearing with me. I know this turned into a little bit longer than I wanted, but I really wanted to explain yesterday's video a little bit better with the fired brass, because a lot of people talk about weighing these. Very few people talk about rim thickness and weighing, and nobody talks about weighing fired brass because there is some hidden weight in there. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.